Picture a wall stretching across an entire continent. 8,000 kilometers of trees, from the Atlantic coast of Senegal to the Red Sea shores of Djibouti. It is one of the most repeated images in modern environmental storytelling. There is just one problem. That wall does not exist. And the real story is more interesting. In 2007, the African Union launched an initiative called the Great Green Wall. The idea was bold and simple: plant a belt of trees across the width of Africa to hold back the Sahara. On paper, the original vision was a strip of forest roughly 8,000 kilometers long and about 15 kilometers wide. It would run along the Sahel, the semi-arid band of land that separates the Sahara Desert from the greener savannas to the south. The goals were enormous. By 2030, the project aimed to restore 100 million hectares of degraded land, an area roughly the size of Egypt. It set out to capture 250 million tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And it promised to create 10 million green jobs for people across the region. To understand why, you have to understand the Sahel. For decades, this region has faced drought, land degradation, and the pressures of a changing climate. Millions of people here depend on farming and livestock to survive. As soil has thinned and rainfall has grown unpredictable, harvests have failed and hunger has spread. When land dies, people move. Degraded land pushes families to leave their homes in search of somewhere better. So the Great Green Wall was never only about trees. It was about food, water, work, and a reason to stay. Here is where the popular story and the real one part ways. Despite its name, the Great Green Wall is not a single, unbroken line of trees. Early on, planners tried exactly that, planting long rows of saplings in the sand. Many of those saplings died. In some early campaigns, tree survival rates were as low as 1 in 5. Scientists and local farmers learned a hard lesson. A rigid wall of trees, planted the same way everywhere, does not survive in a land of shifting rains. So the project quietly transformed. It became a mosaic, a patchwork of restoration projects, each shaped to its own local landscape. In some places, communities plant native, drought-resistant trees. In others, farmers simply protect vegetation that regrows naturally, restore grasslands, or harvest rainwater. In Kalo, in Niger, farmers dig crescent-shaped pits called half-moons, or zai pits. These small ditches catch scarce rainwater and guide it to the roots of growing plants. This is the heart of the good news. The most effective work is not a giant wall built from the top down, it is thousands of small, local fixes built from the ground up. So how far has it come? Honestly, not as far as the headlines suggest. According to the UN Convention to Combat Desertification, almost 18 million hectares of land have been restored so far. That is real progress, but it is well short of the 100 million hectare target. A UN review found the initiative had restored less than 20% of its goal, with only around 350,000 jobs created against a target of 10 million. The reasons are not mysterious. Funding has been slow, and much of the money pledged has struggled to reach the communities doing the work. Conflict and insecurity across parts of the Sahel have stalled projects on the ground. And coordination between more than 20 participating countries has been difficult. Some voices have been sharply critical. Researchers and local officials have questioned where billions in pledged funding have actually gone. A 2025 study in the journal Land Use Policy went as far as asking whether the project had become a green mirage. These criticisms are part of the story, and ignoring them would be dishonest. And yet, the picture is not one of failure. Where restoration has taken root, the benefits are measurable. Trees and native vegetation help stabilize soil, reduce erosion, and improve how groundwater is replenished. Restored land gives back habitat for birds and insects, and makes farms more resilient during drought. For families, healthier land can mean better harvests and more reliable grazing for livestock. Senegal has planted millions of trees and restored large areas of degraded land. Ethiopia has rehabilitated millions of hectares through large-scale restoration programs. Nigeria, Niger, and others have expanded sustainable land management too. Experts working on the ground point to a pattern. Christophe Bessassier of the UN Food and Agriculture Organization has noted that community-led restoration in places like Niger and Burkina Faso offers a model that could be scaled up, even where conflict makes life hard. At the UNCCD, Gilles Amadou Ouedraogo has pushed for better data, so that every country can track its own progress hectare by hectare. Their shared message is patient, not triumphant. This works when local communities lead, and when the world keeps its promises. That may be the Great Green Wall's most important lesson. The people with the most at stake are the ones doing the work, and that is usually the condition under which large, slow, necessary things actually get finished. So no, Africa is not building a single wall of trees across a continent. It is doing something harder, and in the long run, more hopeful. It is rebuilding a living landscape, one community, and one growing season at a time. 8,000 kilometers of restored land will not be finished by any single government, but it may still be one of the most important things our century attempts. If this story changed how you picture the Great Green Wall, that is exactly why we made it. Subscribe to Simplified for You for evidence-based science that respects your intelligence. Share this with someone who still thinks it is a literal wall of trees. And tell us in the comments, what other famous facts would you like us to check?